just thought I'd take a short break just to let you know about becoming a Breakout Bestie. So we've launched a brand new subscription service for the small businesses that need us in your pocket. So why do you need to become a Breakout Bestie? Well, it's just a monthly subscription that gives you access to us when you need us. There's a closed group where you can ask us any question you need. There's also an anonymous posting on, so if you've got clients in the same group, you can ask us anything and we'll get back to you. Sometimes that'll be a quick answer, other times it might be that we need a bit more of an in-depth chat. There'll also be posts and information on the latest trends, the latest strategies for social media, upcoming things from HMRC that you may have missed, just anything you need to make your life easier to run your business. You'll also have access to our client base and money off discounts and vouchers for various services we've got coming out. This is brand new, it's only just been launched, so have a look, go on our website under Besties and sign up soon.
For all the life skills that we need to learn, everyone has to deal with money. Everyone will, unless you're incredibly fortunate, will have to take a loan out or finance out at some point. Everyone will need to pay, mortgages, save for retirement, invest for their future. And if we don't know how to do it, it's a problem. Schools and just educators in general, I think we really, really, really must start addressing how people understand and deal and relate to money.
Hi and welcome to Business Rainbows and Unicorns, where there's no such thing as failure if you don't try. This podcast is specifically for business owners or wannabe business owners. Say you've got a side hustle or you've got a passion for something and you think it'd be absolutely amazing, or you see people that do amazing things with their passions and what they enjoy doing. Well, you can do that. So please subscribe and we hope you enjoy listening to this episode.
Understanding that it's not just an exclusive thing for the rich. It's not just a mega investment. This is about helping people understand how they can make the best decisions for them and their family and their businesses, and to help or get help getting their financial future sorted, whatever that means to that individual.
I think as well, it's like going back to what you said at the beginning, no one don't teach you in school how to pay bills. You don't get taught how to different utility companies.
Yeah.
They don't teach you about what insurance you actually need. And it's that you look a lot on, and it's like talking about cars with no insurance. Like, is that a big thing now? Or is it just because we know about it because people keep looking up people and putting it on social media? Well, actually, a lot of people won't be doing no different. It's just the fact you're putting it up on social media to say it's like the age-old thing of the village groups. It's about what cars have been taxed and insured, dog mess on the pavements, and all of it. It's like, this has always been a problem. That it's just the fact that you didn't scroll, because everyone's spending hours of their lives scrolling and reading it on social media. Actually, all of a sudden it's in your face and you realise that, it is a bit of a pandemic. But it's not a pandemic. It's always happened. It's always been an issue. So why don't we sit with kids and go, well, actually, yes, it's like, I took Em and her mate for an ice cream yesterday and they had cash. And I said, right, you've both got £7 each. We're going to the ice cream and sweet shop. And Defra went, we're doing about time and money in drafts at the moment. I mean, they're 9. But if you think now, people, on the flip side, people are getting their 9-year-olds Go Henry cards. If they're anything like me, you just tap it till it stops working. I don't know what's in there. Whereas if I've got a wallet of cash and I know I've got £50, all of a sudden you go to take that second from last tenner out and you're like, I've only got a tenner left. It makes it so, as much as the argument of I've just had an argument with the school about using cash because they went cashless. So I wrote a very eloquent email about why I think that's how I get by. I use So and I think a lot of people assume all of us that work for themselves, you want to use cash because you want to avoid tax. No, because when people take a receipt. Funnily enough, I've still got to log it somewhere.
Yes, yeah.
But at the same time, with like Emily and with everyone else, it keeps a track of it better. And actually, then I've got money on me. It's not in the bank.
Yeah.
And I
think it's really, really, I mean, it's great that you're encouraging everybody to get involved in those sorts of things, because if you expose children to having cards, having bank accounts, explaining to them how they work, how interest works, for example. Yeah. There's an old adage, and I wish I could remember it properly, but it's something along the lines of, with interest, those who don't understand it pay it, those that understand it make it. Yeah. And it's quite always sort of sticks in my head. Apologies if I've completely hashed that rendition up.
No, that makes sense.
It's about, just understanding for me about schools and just educators in general. I think we really, really, really must start addressing how people understand and deal and relate to money, because for all the life skills that we need to learn, everyone has to deal with money. Everyone will, unless you're incredibly fortunate, will have to take a loan out or finance out at some point. Everyone will need to pay, mortgages, save for retirement, invest for their future. And if we don't know how to do it, it's a problem. Yeah. And my job is obviously there to help educate my clients, but I can't do it on behalf of everyone. We as a nation need to start teaching our children from a young age how money works and why it's important to understand it. Because if you don't understand it, that's where you end up forming really bad relationships with money that damage your ability to have a good future for you and your family. Yeah. People get into trouble with payday loans and all this sort of stuff, and it's a quick snowball, and then you're suddenly in massive problems, and then no one will lend to you. It's a big, big issue if we don't get on top of it early, and people need to understand how money works, how it relates to our lives. And that's why we've started as a business, started to go out into schools and into workplaces and having like financial education sessions. Now, we can only do so much, in an hour or so. Yeah. It's very, very difficult to get everything across. But if that was built in even as like a couple of hours a week, for example, just explaining to children as they get older about how a mortgage works, how what a share is, what a bank account is, how credit cards work. Well, my daughter asked a really good question the other day. So how are you spending money when it's just a bit of plastic? Yeah. How does that work? And I was like, well, this is how, and you have to explain it. And if they don't understand it, people can quickly get themselves into real financial problems. And that's why, for me, it needs to be a core part of any curriculum that we're taught at school, even just dealing with bills. Like you mentioned about the utilities and stuff, like people often don't know how to switch providers or how to change bank accounts or everything.
Switching bank accounts, it stresses them out. They're like, well, I've been with Barclays 30 years. And they've got that trust with Barclays. I'm like, if they rewarded you by being a long-standing, well, the lady in the branch is really lovely. I know her. Yeah, she ain't there anymore. So
this is again the problem where you come up against this all the time. Is that people? I don't know if it's got better since they've encouraged more switching. There's obviously been a government campaign, etc., to try and get us to do it more. But before that, you were statistically more likely to get divorced.
Yeah, change your bank account,
which is mind-blowing, isn't it? Just think of how long you must be. I mean, my mum, for example, has had a bank account with Lloyds for as long as I can remember. Yeah. Must be 40, 50 years plus, I would think. Yeah. And I was thinking, well, what are they doing that somebody else couldn't? And like you've said, the amount of branches locally are shutting is causing problems for a lot of people, smaller communities, more elderly people often, or people that aren't that tech savvy, not wanting to deal with online stuff. It's now becoming a real problem. Yeah. And, tech has made a massive difference. I know you're a big advocate of using online stuff as much as you can and apps and stuff, and so am I. I love it. Yeah. But at the same time, if you're not someone who's confident, it can become a real stress, can't it? And that's where I'm starting to. Our business mantra has always been: if you want to engage with technology, we'll 100% enable that and do everything online with you as much as possible. Yeah. If you are more, we want prints of reports, so we want face-to-face meetings, and we want to have that one-to-one, but more in a physical sense, sort of like sitting with people, going around the houses, giving them documents, That's what you want. Then have it. We don't want to force people down the route, and I think the industry, as a banking industry, is unfortunately forcing people down routes that not everyone wants to go.
I have customers in here that, well, my nan was a classic example. She didn't trust banks. She took her pension out, and we always joked that I wanted to inherit the sewing machine because I know that's where the cash stash was. And she had thousands in her home, and I was like, you can't. And Ben still has it. He'll go around and see customers, and he serviced their boiler, and they'll come out with their purse full of notes and be like, how much do I owe you? And bless him, you just say, right, you can't do this. This is not okay, because if you get a broker trader or someone in and that you're literally stood there with like 500 quid in cash and you owe him 80 quid, it's just like, I can't just, this is what we do. And I have people come in here as well. They go to Fiverr for whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, so yeah, okay, we don't. But then, okay, we can use the post office. We can do that. And we've helped people do that. Yeah. Like, you've got to trust the banks, but I can see where you come
Yes,
from.
yeah.
It's
quite
just
worrying,
that
isn't it?
finance.
Yeah.
It is really worrying.
Get to some houses in the past where you sat there thinking, really wish you hadn't just told me all of that stuff, because you really shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, yeah, don't leave it under the bed.
Yeah.
Don't put it, in a box in the garage or something. Just think, really not that safe.
Yeah.
But
then I get the flip side. When I give people out your card, straight away they're like, oh my God, he's a finance guy. How much does it cost me?
Yeah.
No, he'll meet you for free. Really?
Yeah.
What happens in that meeting? I said, well, I'll give you advice and he'll chat to what you need and discuss. But how do I pay him? And I'm like,
I'm really glad you brought that up.
But then, to be fair, I'm like, I don't know, but I've never done it. Well, maybe I'm on meat.
So, this is, I'm really, really glad you brought that up, because that's another thing that I don't want to ever be a blocker to somebody having a conversation, and that, not just me, obviously, but with any financial advisor. If you're sitting there thinking, I need to have a conversation, most places, check before you obviously book with them, but most places will have a free meeting, possibly more than one, to give you, the client, the chance to sit down with them and explain your circumstances, and for the advisors to see whether they feel that they can help you, whether they feel that they can work together. And for you as a client, really just check that you're the right person for them, because like we've said, marketing yourself to everyone is just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
You have to be specific. You have to be working with a target market to make that business work from our experience. But from a client's perspective, they need to understand that you're not the only advisor. If you meet with me and you think, you know what, this seems like a nice guy, but just not the right person for me, no problem. That's the whole point of that meeting, is that I get the chance to say that is this someone I can see myself working with long term? And that's the great thing about being self-employed. There is no longer a need to work with those people if you choose that's not right. And similarly from both sides.
And I always think with any service, and I always say to people, they're like, oh, I've had so-and-so bring me, and they're just, because I always say, I won't push my services onto you, because if we're not, like you say, if we're not the right fit, it's fine. However, if someone is like, no, you have to use me, and then they're like bombarding you, a bit like the ambulance chasers, like you say, they're either desperate for the work, or there's something up, or maybe they're trying to get you to sign the bottom line because they'll get something from it. Yeah. So just don't. You should always be able to have that chat with whoever, whatever the service is, a bit like a shop. You can go in, browse, walk away and think about it.
Yeah.
So don't just meet someone and sign up. And I tell all my clients that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've had people sign up for website deals where it's $5,000 to get out of a website. And actually you look at their business, they don't need a website. And it's just there.
It's really important, isn't it, to understand what you're signing up for. And that's an important conversation to have as well, because you shouldn't be forced down a route of paying fees before you're even aware that that's happened. So the one thing we've always done and will always do is offer free meetings at the outset to gauge whether there's stuff that we can help with, and for them to check whether I'm the right guy for them. But then it moves on to the next stages. Now, our advice services are not free. So this is a business, and obviously we do charge for those services, but there will never be a point where a client is like presented with a bill and where's that come from? Because you'll be fully aware by that point of discussion, if we go down this route, this will be the cost of that advice.
Yeah.
And even at the point we present that advice to them, don't have to do the business with us. It's not, there's no obligation to do it. So if they decide, thanks for that, but we've decided to go a different route, it's disappointing for me, but it's at the end of the day, that's how it's set up so that you aren't obligated to go and meet even at that stage.
And I think that's important at that point, because you guys are so heavily regulated.
Yes.
Again, it's like going back to the complaints thing. If you can then go to the FCA. I don't know if they say it, but I clearly like them. FCA or the Ombudsman or such and such. And I think that's what a lot of people don't get. But actually, if someone's really pushing you, they're probably not regulated or doing something they shouldn't be doing, because that just that's not a good sales strategy.
On that note as well, because there's a lot of press about this, and particularly in the pension space, anyone that's requested any information from their pension provider recently will know that they're sending out letters to be wary of scammers, etc. So one of the key bits I'd say to anyone listening to this is that if you're ever dealing with anyone who claims to be from a financial institution, there is a register of regulated advisors online. You can go onto the FCA, it's the Financial Conduct Authority website, put that person's name in, and their details will come up if they are a regulated person. So there is a lot of need to double check. If you're approached out of the blue, you get somebody promising you something that sounds too good to be true, as almost always in life, it's going to be something you want to be wary of. So if you're in any doubt, always look them up firsthand, ask around, get second opinions, get reviews, etc. I mean, we use a system called Voucher For. It's a subscription service that we pay for, and it allows real clients to leave real reviews, which we can't fetter, we can't alter them, we can't go in and manipulate them. We can just ask for a review and they give it. That gives you a good indication of whether your current clients are happy with what you're doing, and also to check if they are properly regulated, etc. in the background, because there's so much protection now. I mean, the UK advice market is so regulated now. Some businesses are actually, particularly ones from America, decided that they don't want to enter the UK market because it's so regulated. And it is I'm not going to lie, there are frustrations at times where I think it is a bit over-regulated. And clients want ease of doing business. And we know we're doing the right thing. They know. But there's so many dotting of I's and crossing of T's that we have to do that, unfortunately, it's not always as slicker an experience as we'd like it. But I suppose fundamentally, those rules are there to protect clients. And that's all that we want, is that we want a fair and trustworthy system where people are not getting any unpleasant surprises, are fully regulated, fully insured, and dealing with the right people. And if that takes a few extra forms or a bit more line in a report, then I'm on board with that. It's just the best outcome for clients that everyone wants.
It's
tough at times.
And I think, but it's just that, I think going back to the money, if they're telling you stuff they've not even told their family, you kind of want that reassurance is that you've got that protection, and then that builds up that trust as well. Because there's people who I know, I've got clients that come in here that have got money all over the place and they're very careful with it, and then you've got people like me that's like, here's me in, just do what you need to do with it. I don't need to know to the letter to the T, and that's fine. But it's because you've got that trust. So I know whatever you make that decision, that's fine. Obviously, Ian doesn't make my decisions for me. That's really against everything. But it's that knowing and trust that you've got that with someone. And I think that's the most important thing. There's people I've come in and they're like, oh, I'm dealing with so-and-so. I remember signing up I met a guy at a networking meeting. We won't mention BNI, but and he signed me up for life, and I was really stressed at the time. And I remember you saying to me, bear in mind how well we know each other, can't remember what I was doing, and you went, right, I just need to check it wasn't of sound mind, but it was kind of that phrase of just like, it's very clear, it's all right. And bearing in mind how well you know me, I was like, it's a bit weird. Anyway, went on, and it was too much. I remember he was almost chasing me down with paperwork to sign it. And I cancelled it quite quickly afterwards. Felt guilty, me being me, that I'd wasted time. And I was like, well, no, actually, I've signed up. It's well over what I need at the moment. It just wasn't right for me. And it was one of those ones where I'd been hassled, and I was like, Why were you okay with doing that? Because clearly I wasn't of sound mind, for want of a better phrase, for me to do that and make that decision to pay out, I think it was like 150 a month. I was like, that's a lot of money to me to then do that. So, yes, okay, I'm paying out monthly for my pension, but that's going in for something for me. So it's a different conversation. But yeah, it's that thing of knowing you're working with the right person is knowing you've got those checks in place to go, right,
Yes.
do you understand this? Do you know what it is? Because if someone's not doing that and they're just like, yeah, I'll take you 100 grand, off we go. And you're like, where's my money gone?
You know what? I've never felt comfortable with that approach at all. I mean, there's a difference between somebody who's a financial salesman and will sell you products and a planner.
Yeah.
A financial planner is somebody who will, obviously give you access to those products, but they have your best interests at heart. They will be making the decisions for the long term because, as you said there, if I pressure someone, I'm not doing myself any favours because that person's then going to make a decision they're probably not happy with. And as you did, go, actually, I'm pretty sure that's not the right decision.
Yeah.
When I look back at it, I'll cancel it. So what have I done there? I've made a little bit of money, which I've then had clawed back from the insurer. I've then left you as the client unhappy. Are you then going to refer me on to someone else?
Yeah.
No chance. It's a very short-sighted, very disappointing view. And that's where I think the trust in any industry gets eroded by people like that, whether it's in financial services or whether it's a builder or a mechanic or something. People's instincts as humans will tell them when they're dealing with someone that's pushing them into an area they don't want to go, or they're not feeling comfortable. They're feeling, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And you'll know it, and you'll soon, whether it's that day, the following week, next year, years down the line, you will know, and then you will not want to deal with that person again. So for me, I've always thought, you know what, if it takes, if someone's in a vulnerable position particularly, recent bereavement, family split homes, could be health scare. It could even be that they just don't understand money.
Yeah.
If you're putting pressure on that person to make a decision, you're in the wrong job, and you should walk away from any person that tries to put you in it, any undue pressure, because they're forcing you to make a decision at a time that you're not prepared to make it.
No.
And I've taken the qualification to work in later life care. It's quite a specialist area. Not everyone does it. Quite a few don't actually. And it's something that's really opened my eyes to the need for those people in particular. Because you think not only the person going into care is vulnerable for obvious reasons, but the family. They've had a massive shock. The person, their mum or dad, that they've relied upon throughout their entire life as being their rock, that person that they can go to, is suddenly either mentally or physically not as capable as they once were. They put them under a huge amount of stress because they're going to find care homes, find carers, do application forms, get benefits claimed. All that sort of stuff is all going on in the background, and it's something where if you're putting someone in pressure in that situation, you should really get another job.
Yeah.
Really should.
Yeah. Also, it's that, because it's that unknown, so people will just cling to. You've got one side of it where you've had that experience. So my experience was with an insurance person.
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly, I will be wary of every single insurance person that comes across now, because you just naturally think, well, you'll be like that because that's how that person was like it. We were joking about utility warehouse sellers the other day, because I know two who are absolutely, Fliss and Kaylee, absolutely lovely, like the loveliest people, like us, wouldn't pressure you in. However, when I was on the networking circle 8 years ago, I met utility warehouse sellers who were just like, I can't cut off, this is just too much, you are just too much.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And I will speak to people now who they're like, when we're looking at bills and doing life admin, and I'm like, and they'll be like, is this utility warehouse? I'm like, like, no, and they won't even entertain, even though they'll save the money. And I'm like, you've just associated that heavy selling with everybody. But I think for the end of life care, and it's the same with the bereavement, until you've been through that, you don't know. So on the flip side, if you like all of a sudden you've put that family, whether you're on your own or you've got brothers and sisters, you have to deal with that. So then, well, how do you do that? Well, who do you go to? Where do you even Google that? Yeah. If you Google and it suddenly comes up with the sponsored post and you click on the first person, might be him. They might not be the right person to you or have your best interests.
Exactly.
But because you're in that mindset, you just need it and you need it now, but you'll never research that before you need it. It's exactly the same with the bereavement. Yeah. In both times with both mums, when it happened with them, neither of them knew they didn't know what to do or where to go. And now looking back at it, sound lines, you think, oh, should have done that, should have chopped that, should have done this, should have done that. Yeah. You don't know until it happens. And then you're like, so yeah, that's quite a big...
It's a problem for a lot of industries, isn't it? Yeah. Wherever you go, whether it's a mechanic, a house builder, an accountant, solicitor, regardless of what the job is, if you have a bad experience with one person that's sort of representing that industry, because you obviously don't meet every accountant, you don't meet every builder. Yeah. You have a bad experience with one, it does colour the view of the rest of that industry. And that's, for me, why I'm so passionate about making sure that people are in my industry as much as we can, and making the right decisions and doing the right things for people, because otherwise it creates problems for everyone, which is why I felt quite disappointed that other businesses are clearly not servicing their customers as well as we are, because again, that whole industry reputation hangs on each individual client experience with their touch point with that industry. And if one person lets you down, you're all let down. And when it comes to anyone that's in any vulnerable position, whether the cause of that could be a whole host of different things, you have to take it slowly, give them time, give them space, have people accompany meetings with them. It's all really important stuff to make sure that whatever decisions they reach in their own good time. Yeah. And they're not under pressure, because when you're stressed, you're literally grabbing at any solution, aren't you? You just kind of go, I've got so much on, that problem can go away if I do this. Oh, let's just get it done. But once you make that decision, you realise that's not the right one. It's then harder to undo all of that stuff often. So take your time. I've met with a lady who'd been bereaved a couple of weeks ago, and you could tell the minute you walked in the door, putting on a brave face, but you could tell that person is not ready to make any long-term decisions right now. Yeah. So I was like, right, well, let's get a few bits done. Can send off some letters to various people, but I'm not going to make any decisions with you today. And next time we meet, I think it would be worthwhile having a family member, friend, whatever, come along with you, just so that they can act as a bit of a sounding board, asking you questions that you might not think of, and sense check it, because they'll know you better than I will know you, and be able to say whether you're in the right frame of mind to make those decisions. Because it's really, really important that in any industry that's in ours, where there's so much private information being passed, and so we're emotionally vulnerable at that point. And not always thinking clearly. And I always remember one lady in various Edmonds, when I used to work in HSBC, I remember meeting with them, and they ended up putting some money into a trust at the time that a family member had just passed. And without boring you with the technical details, they thought they could get that money out again. And then I sat down with them and said, actually, no, that's locked away now. You can't
touch that.
And well, that's a massive problem, because it was set blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, unfortunately, there's no way that I know that you can get that money out now. And that caused a massive complaint to go on for about 3 years. And that was all because everything had been documented correctly, everything had been done, but because they were just all over the shop,
they weren't listening.
They weren't taking it all in, and weren't able to process it properly. And that's where, even if you put stuff into a report, or even if you document it in a recording of a meeting, you as an advisor have to make that call saying, are these people genuinely fully understanding what I'm saying to them? Are they in a position where they can make that decision? And if they're not, you need to just give them space until they are ready, because that's when mistakes are made. That's can't always undo it very easily.
No, I don't. Yeah, but I think so. If you're doing end of life care sort of thing, are you also a negotiator and a mediator between siblings?
Well, I tell you what, it's quite a disturbing story actually. When I was at HSBC, I used to work opposite on a desk this lady who was responsible for what they used to call their executorship service. Yeah. So if someone had written a will through the bank, They're not going to nominate a person to be the executor, so the
Yeah.
person that makes that will happen. And often the person nominated wasn't either qualified or knowledgeable enough to do it, or sometimes just didn't want to do it. And I really can't bother. So sometimes they pass that responsibility back to this professional part of the bank. So they will go and sort out the estate for the family. So this woman, I sat chatting with her as you do, and she said, I've just had a really interesting morning. I said, well, what happened there then? She said, well, I've been around to this house. They'd all been arguing about this inheritance. Dad had passed away, left quite a bit of money behind, and there were 5 siblings, and all come from all over the world to come back to sort out what was going on. So she said, we're often used to having a bit of a fractious environment, particularly when there's multiple people involved, because everyone's got their views. So he told me this, and he told me that. So they're sitting there talking about it and having this big argument. And she said, look, I'm going to leave the room now because you guys need to sort out what's going on. And the will is the will. It says explicitly what's going to happen. I'm not dealing with any personal disputes here. It's not my job. We will make what the will says actually happen. If you have problems with that, you'll have to challenge it in court. That's that's as far as I'm going to go with it. And she was about to walk out. She said, I stood up and my pen was on my lap. Well, I didn't realise. I stood up, kind of like, I've had enough of this. And pen fell on the floor. So she tried to pick it up. She noticed that someone had written in chalk underneath the table a name. She said, what's going on under the table there? And they all kind of looked a bit sheepishly at each other. And essentially what they've been doing is that they got there early in the morning and everyone had gone around writing on everything that they wanted for themselves. Literally written chalk over everything. So over every bit of furniture, everything, chalk on the back of it saying whose name it was. And it was almost like they thought it was going to be a divvy up sort of setup. And it kind of home one of the most important things to me is that people, when it comes to money, and particularly families and money, cause massive problems.
Yeah.
And that's why we say have a will that says explicitly what you
you want. Yeah.
Even if they're thinking, I haven't got a lot of money or the assets that my estate's fairly simple, that's great. But it might not be if you don't have a will. I mean, I'll get it up there just to show you how just idle interest, but it is literally a flow chart. You go, are you married? Yes or no, down to the next one. Do you have more than this amount of money? Yes or no, go to the next one. And if that's not, that might work for some people, and they might go, actually, yeah, cool, that's fine. But for other people, it'd be like, well, no, that really does not work at all. So, yeah, we'll cover that off later. But so we talk about long-term care and wills.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, I think there are a lot of people, because I've been through it twice now. The other thing is, going back to perceptions, people then assume when you have a parent die, suddenly you're going to come into a lot of money. I'm like, that's not the case. But that's fine. But it's also that, like when we lost my nan, she went, well, before we lost her, obviously, she went into a home, so all her money, because the way she hadn't prepared or done anything, all of her money just went to the home. And that was chewed up and gone. So it was just, and rightly or wrongly, and this is my argument with, obviously, everyone always says about my dad, and I'm just like, and there was a few people like, almost, not quite as crass, but how much did you get then? I'm like, well, I'd like him back. That would be nice.
Exactly.
I don't care about the money. However, on the flip side, I know of other people where that's been their question. Well, how much do I get then? And I'm like,
it's really unsaid.
And they've got relationships with their parents and everything. So it's not like that. I know of some where there's no relationship with parents. I know parents where they've cut their kids out of will and awful stories. But a lot of it comes down to money. So then going back to the fact it's a bit of a taboo subject and we don't want to talk about it. But at the same time, all of a sudden someone dies, we all want to talk about it and know how much money's in their bank account. I'm like,
not a truer thing has been said today on that one. It is.
How does that work?
The mentality of some families when it comes to money fascinates me. And I could spend a whole podcast talking about experiences and stories, etc. But when families don't talk about money, where it is, what it's doing for them, how they can access it, keep records and stuff, if you come in as the executor, somebody who's sorting out a will, and you're like, where do I start? Where is everything? I haven't got account numbers for anything. I don't know passwords for anything. I don't know where stuff is, what is even there. I mean, I always remember a client who come in my bank days at Saks London, and she was the wife of this guy who had passed away, and he did everything in the house, like everything. And I remember saying to her, well, like, what happens like when you, I don't know, you run out of money that month, spend a bit more on the shopping or whatever? She said, well, I'd have to ask for more money. And I said, okay, right. And, but like, how do you know you're running low, for example? Do you have like bank accounts? And she had access to nothing. It was literally like, I go to you and I need some more money and that's it. And she said, there's actually a room in the house that she has never been in until he passed away because it was his office, right? Wow. Never gone in there. And that just blew my mind. I said, what? So you literally have never gone into this room, ever? I said, no, I wasn't allowed in. Even if he's not there, it'll be locked and everything. And he had stuff that she had no idea about, like hundreds of thousands of pounds scattered all over the place that she had no idea about. But it took her years to find it all. Yeah. And all of this could be dealt with so easily if we'd actually just keep a record somewhere. Yeah. You know, keep it secure, whether it's a physical document in a safe or whether it's something very secure but on a cloud system. Something somewhere, you need to tell your family, like, I've got this account here, that pension there, I've got this investment over here, I've got bank accounts for these places. If anything happens to me, go to these places, because otherwise you won't know. And that's why there's so many millions and millions and millions of pounds in unclaimed pension pots in the UK.
Yeah, because no one knows about it.
Because you just don't know, they forgot about it. You know, how many times do we change jobs these days? Yeah. You go from working here to there, even if it's a few thousand here and a few thousand there. That's a big amount of money for a lot of people. That is just the case of knowing where it is and knowing that they need to claim it. If you don't tell people, they won't know. No. And you wouldn't automatically, you can't go looking everywhere, can you? No. So, yeah, have it.
My dad had credit cards, but he'd only ever pay the minimum payment on the credit card. Okay. So he obviously paid interest on his credit cards.
Yes, yeah.
So it wasn't until he passed away that I only had credit cards, don't I? I mean, it only came out. And I was like, oh, well, and I said to my stepmother, and she just didn't have a clue. The worst thing was, he had in a current account what was on the credit card. So he was literally paying interest for no reason whatsoever. And I'm like, it's like £200-300 a month. I'm like, so you're paying Barclays card, Visa, whoever it was, £200-300 a month. But
yeah. It's interesting, yeah. It's really interesting. It's like that old saying I was saying earlier.
Clever man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is where people assume that it's unintelligent people that don't do it. But sometimes it's just the busy people. Yeah. Or the people that actually don't care about money per se. They're more about life experience. Some of the smartest people I deal with are some of the time poorest people that I deal with. And therefore, I mean, I always remember 2 clients I sat down with and I looked at their outgoings, I looked at their income and I was like, how is there nothing left every month? Yeah. How are you going through that amount of money and still having nothing left at the end? And when I went through stuff, I said, what's this then? Oh, I don't know. What's that? That's that old thing that we started a while back. There were hundreds and hundreds of pounds going out and stuff that they had no idea about. Just because they didn't have the time to go, right, let's get everything out, sort it all out. They've got 3 kids, 2 very, very busy, high-profile jobs. They just don't have the time. No. So it's sometimes just about giving yourself time. But like you said earlier, living to means is 100%. And that's, if you're not careful, we get on this treadmill of never giving ourselves time to step back from stuff and actually look at our financial world and make sure that we're making the best decisions. So that's where I come in, is that I can sit down with you and go through your world and go, right, what are we doing about this? Have you thought about doing that? You know, there's things that you won't know to even think about.
But the funny thing was, so Nisha and I were talking about it the other day because we've launched our Bestie program. So you pay a monthly fee and you get us on tap. So you can either, we've got a closed Facebook group, so people can dip in and out, ask questions and do things. I'll put stuff in. So like when the budget happened, Sharon, my accountant, did a PDF pack of what business owners need to know. So without all the fluff. Really, really good. So I shared that with her contact details. So that this is what we get from her. So things like that, things that I get. And then people put, does anyone know A? And we recommend. Time off networking and other bits and pieces. Absolutely perfect. It starts at £25 a month. The flip side, we do bespoke besties. So, for example, if you didn't have Marie and wanted help with general admin, social media, bits of whatever it is, basically, so you can then fill your time with clients. We then do a bespoke thing of, again, us on tap. So you have us for a bit like a retainer sort of thing, but you can mix it up with niche social media, my bookkeeping, and things like tea. So you could literally ring up and go, I'm a bestie, my laptop broke, or something files, whatever it is. And we were talking to someone a couple of weeks ago, and she was just like, Wally? Well, because they were like, I really want to be a bestie, not sure if my business can afford it, because this, that, and the other. However, the other day, I bought a coffee every day, or I did this, or I did that. And Nisha was like, but why don't they look at the best value for their business? I said, this is the problem. I said, people will. I had someone in, and bless her, I mean, she can afford it. She's quite well off. But she was like, I found this Temu app, this app called Temu. She goes, and we go on, she goes, this jumper was from it. She said, we go on and we just pick. She goes, our boxes are up. Fair play to her. She's got money. That's what she's like. Her and the team at work were loving it.
Fair enough.
But I said, at the same time, you see people and they're like, yeah, I just bought it off TikTok shop. I'm like, do you need that? Is that a good spend? So it's going back to that priorities and what you spend. I said, so they're buying a coffee a day. So that's 60 quid a month. However, for 25 quid a month, you could have
priorities, isn't it?
Us.
Yeah.
And I said, it's the same with, it's that thing of what you want to do. I want to go on holiday, so I will make it so I can afford to go on holiday. Exactly. I don't want a new car, so I'm not fussed about my car. You're lucky if my car, well, it doesn't always go in reverse, so you're lucky if my car works. But I said, and this is the thing, is that bigger picture. I said, which is then makes it more difficult when you're not a hard sell to not push people into these things, because I know how much it benefits their business. You know how much it will benefit their business. But until they get to that point, and I said there will be a light bulb moment, and we're after the longevity. I don't want people to sign up for 2 months and go, oh my God, I'm paying this out. I can't cope with it. And it's the same with what you say about pension pot. I have 250 quid go out of my bank every month. That's a lot of money. I don't see that money. I see where it goes on my app, because my little app goes up. But I obviously don't log in and look how much money I got in 20 years. 25, 30. Let's say, I know, 21, 50 years. So, but you don't, do you? So it's that hard sell of like, nowadays, everyone wants that quick dopamine hit of just like, oh, I've bought something and Amazon's arrived, or I can, because everyone wants everything tomorrow. Whereas the whole longevity stuff of whether it's pension, savings, and the benefit.
It's a great point, actually, because I touched on this with a client the other day. Psychologically, we struggle to see that investing in ourselves is just that. When we see direct debits going out into stocks, shares, ISAs, for example, or into pensions, or into any form of investment that client wants to do, we often, for some reason, don't associate with that being us investing in ourselves. That's money that we are putting aside for our own future. Now, whether that's to fund a holiday, to fund a car, to fund school education costs, to help children with the first house, whatever that motivation is for that particular person, it's quite easy to lose sight of that longer term goal if we are focused on the challenges now. Now, I appreciate that obviously interest rates going up means that mortgages have gone up for a lot of people, and that expenses are getting higher. We've had a cost of living crisis, and still sort of rates are slowing, but it's still expensive cost of living now. So I can fully appreciate that clients will think, actually, what are the bits that I want to spend my money on now, because they're non-negotiables in a lot of people's minds. Like you, if I said, don't go on holiday, put all of that into pension, and that's not going to happen. And there are bits of people's minds, whether they think it outright or whether they won't know until I ask the question, there'll be non-negotiables in people's outgoings that they will not give up, come rain or shine, because that's just life, and we all need to enjoy life. There's no two ways about that. but it's about seeing that money that leaves your bank account as adding value to your financial world. Because like I spoke to a guy the other day who's trying to either downsize or release equity from his property to help his son out to get on the property ladder, essentially. And I said, have you not got any savings or anything you could use for that, any investments that you could use? And he was like, no, I haven't. I said, well, is this something that you were expecting then? He said, oh no, I've always wanted to help our children on the property ladder. And I kind of was thinking in the back of my mind, well, why have you not done something to facilitate that happening? You've left it until then. Now saying, can I have some money, please, Dad? I need to buy a house. You haven't got it. And then you've either got the hassle of having to move home and all the legal costs and moving costs and fees, etc., that come with that, or you've got to do it to a lease, which again is going to cost you money and interest, etc. So with a bit of foresight, a bit of planning, you can actually be putting money aside. Unfortunately, it's been shown again, research will show time and time again, if people are squeezed for money, they will cut out those seemingly not important bits. Like, I'll stop paying into my pension for a bit, or I'll stop paying into my investment ISA, or I'll cancel that life cover, or I'll do that. That's fine. But they'll still pay the £70 a month for the Sky, and they'll still pay out, 400, 500 quid on a car. Oh yeah, the newest iPhone for 100 quid a month, whatever. And I struggle with that, because I think, well, if you are ill, how much are Apple going to give you to live off every month? Yeah. Or what are Audi or BMW or Mercedes or whatever, are they going to care that you're out of a job? Tough. You owe us £400 or £500 a month. That 50 quid that you were paying on that insurance that would have replaced that income if you're off work, that's no longer there because you knocked that on the head because you'd rather have the latest iPhone. So I think we need to kind of have honest conversations with ourselves and just be like, yes, we need to prioritise. We cannot do everything. And if everyone did everything that I recommended, we'd all live pretty boring lives. Because we need to go draw the line. Yeah. So no problem with that at all. But don't jump to cancelling your life cover or cancelling your sickness cover or stop paying into something that's important to you, because in the long run, that time where the child goes to university or you want to help them with their first car or their first house comes around very quickly. You think of how quickly Emily's grown and how quick my children have grown over that time frame. It seems like yesterday. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's here. If we don't plan for those sorts of expenses, we then cause ourselves headaches. So like, how on earth am I going to find money to put that child through university? Or how am I going to find the £20,000, £30,000 they need towards a house deposit? Those sorts of challenges are real for people now. Yeah. I mean, you think back in the 50s and 60s, houses were probably, mortgages were generally about 2 or 3 times your income. Yeah. Now often they're like 5, even 6 times income. And the property market down has benefited a lot of people, but it also means people trying to get onto it, constantly chasing an ever-moving target. Like, your deposit this year is X amount, by next year it will be Y amount. And it's getting more and more hard for people to find money. I mean, I know there's Kirsty Alsop and various other people have said, oh yeah, you need to cut out this and cut out that. And there is an element to that in some people, particularly young people. But there's also pressures that are on their purses and wallets that were never there before, because of the scope of rent and mortgages and everything going up. And the fact that we need to do more into pensions, for example, like the final salary pensions are not there anymore, or hardly there for many people. So there's lots of pressures on our purses, as it were. We need to prioritise what we want to spend it on. And if you're not careful, you do get in trouble.
But I think it's the balance between what you want and what you need. Yeah. Because that's the problem we've got, is people, it's until I do. So I'll talk to, obviously, people doing their self-assessments. I'm like, you can claim this and you can claim that. Well, can I? Well, yeah, you need your phone to run the business. Yeah. Okay, so I'll be like, how much is your phone bill? They're like, £8 a month. So you're like, I'm sorry. Yeah. What? And you're like, and they're like, we're in cost of living. You pay £80 a month for this. Now I can go about my laptop, I admit. Yeah. I could quite happily go without this. I'll be all right without it. But it cost me £20 a month. Yes, I'm on a SIM-only deal, so I buy, but I found a way to buy. I never want the latest iPhone, so it's fine. As long as it works, and I've got a decent one for my camera for what I do, that's fine by me. Yeah. So yes, I'll pay a chunk, but then I don't have the interest, don't have that. So my phone bill's £20 a month. And then you look and their phone's like the same age as mine and they're still paying for it. I'm like,
It's not
what are you doing? When did you last look at what you're paying out and what you're doing? Oh, no, that's just monthly bills, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's the same with the insurance. If people will notice, there was a massive argument on or discussion on Facebook, and it was about someone's insurance renewal, and they were shocked that if they call up to say they'll leave, a bit like Sky,
Yeah.
if you call up and say you'll leave or go somewhere else, they'll match the quote. Yeah. And they're like, but why didn't they send that first? Because some people just click on renew.
Yeah.
And that's
they're playing on your sort of, for want of a better term, laziness, aren't they? They're just going,
you need insurance, you'll click and pay. Hopefully you'll pay monthly because it's a bit more interest on it rather than in full. I'm shit because I'll compare paying for every year because I refuse to pay more than I have to because I hate paying insurance at the best of times. But if they then, so like what you were saying, going back of what they're paying out every month, if they then did that review, funnily enough, there is £50 a month for that insurance, or there is £200 a month for a pension, and all of a sudden they've got this free money.
Well, exactly that. If you look at your outgoings, and I'd encourage everyone that's listening to this to do this, it's not the most fun or exciting process, but it'll be a genuine eye-opener. Go through your bank statements and write down your outgoings. And I'm not just talking about my mortgage is X, my car bill is this, my phone is that. Go into that detail of like kids' clubs, the coffees, the meals you're going out, the cinema, or the theatre, or the sports club that you attend, whatever it happens to be. Go through it and look at it, because it is a genuine eye-opener. And times I've sat down with clients and we've done one, and they go, I've never honestly, genuinely thought we were spending like £200 a month on fun stuff. Turns out we're spending £700-800 a month.
Yeah.
I had no idea. No. That's why we've got that money at the end of the month. Or it's genuinely just do it. I promise you, you will be amazed at what you find out. Even though you think you know your finances, when it comes to it,
you don't.
You just don't. So
no one has time to stop and look nowadays.
Very difficult.
And also, everyone, whether you do try and keep up with Joneses or you don't, you will pay out for stuff because you're used to paying out for it as well.
Yeah.
And ultimately, people want quick fixes in terms of how they look or their weight. That's why you've got like gym memberships or quick fix diets. And the thing is, you'll get people will want that quick wins of, I can sign up to a diet and I can lose weight. All of a sudden, we found that £20 a month to pay for the whatever diet or less eating cabbage or whatever it's going to be, saving. But on the flip side, I've done it before. I've gone through. I'm like, I'm still paying for a gym membership. I ain't been to that gym in like 2 months, but they've had £50 a month from me.
Yeah.
So now whatever I do, it comes down to £1 per use. So I'm like, I haven't paid for a gym in a couple of years now, but I'm like, do you know what I could do without that? Because I've got the motivation. I can go out and run, and I can go out and bike or do what I need to do. So I've not paid for that gym membership anymore. But everything else is paid per use. My guilty pleasure is I will have that coffee, but I'll have a special coffee that I can't do at home.
Yeah.
So I have my black coffee in the mornings, and that's fine. Yeah. So when I do go in, because I have worked somewhere and they tried to teach me how to make posh coffee, I can't. They were like, I don't know.
I can't imagine you as a barista.
Honestly. We got to the point, the boys in the workshop would be like, I'd be like, do you want a coffee? They'd be like, are you making it? I'd be like, yeah. They're like, no. Right.
Oh, good.
And like, we've tried to teach you how to make a latte. So many, like, how do you stuff up a white coffee so badly? I'm like, it's just like, when you say my strengths are weaknesses, my weakness is decent coffee. But give me a jar of instant and I'm all right. But I know I like a coffee and a decent coffee. However, and then, because I've got Vitality Life Insurance, I get free Neros every week. So now I go and have a posh Neros every week. So I make I have my pistachio latte in the winter, ice in the summer.
Very nice.
But it's my way of finding that £1 per use of through the Vitality stuff. I get my coffee and everything else. So it's then working it out of how it benefits me. I've got to have bloody health and life insurance, so I might as well get something back out.
Make use of it, honestly, because that was another thing actually that's really, really glad you brought up, because there's a couple of things you've just said that really resonated with me as well. The first of which is that a lot of the things that we pay for come with add-on benefits, particularly life cover nowadays, and those sorts of insurances through your Avivas and Vitalities and those sorts of companies will often have loads of free stuff or loads of discounts you can take advantage of, like your discounted running shoes or Garmin watches or Apple watches or whatever. There'll be loads of stuff like that. There's like GP services, there's second opinions. I mean, there's sometimes they do pharmacy, sometimes it's helping with nutrition. So if you do pay for these policies, then absolutely check that you're not missing out on something. Because I had a client the other day who said, until I flagged it up to him, I didn't realise I had online GP access. It says, it's an absolute nightmare getting a GP's appointment. Now I'll get one in a couple of hours. I don't even have to leave my house.
Yeah.
I was like, well, exactly. This is a free add-on. You're paying a penny for this, but it's just being aware that it's there. So absolutely do get people to check your policies and check your provider, what they offer. Because some of them are now, there's a guy that I know personally who is getting now free nutritional help. So they're helping him plan his diet out, plan his exercise regime out, and he's making a huge difference already. There's people.
I mean, you can sign up to Zoe for £200 a month to do that.
Exactly. It saves you a fortune, isn't it? That's the thing. It's just being aware of what you've already got access to and making use of those discounts.
Many apologies
as well when you can.
Stephen Bartlett for dissing Zoe. But you get it for free over on that policy.
It's very, very much worth doing. So absolutely do check what you can get for free, what discounts are available, where you can save a bit of money here and there, which is great. But the other thing you said as well, quick wins. As a society, we're always looking for how to do things quickly, and getting rich quickly is one of the age-old things. You know, houses have changed, lifestyles have changed, but people's desire to get rich quick has never changed. And there's always been people willing to take advantage of that. And one of the things that there's now been given an official term of finfluencers, the online people that post up on your Instagram going, you should invest in this crypto, or you should put your money in this, and it's great.
Buy this course, it's made me millions. That's the one I'm up against at the moment.
Yeah.
They don't sign up to be a bestie, but they'll buy a course for £50 to learn, and then they go, well, the course is useless. Yeah, but they've got you £50 and you have made them a millionaire.
Yes.
Because you're all buying it and you believe in faceless marketing of like, oh.
And that's exactly it. I mean, it's the lack of accountability that comes with it, which is why the regulators are now sort of cracking down on that sort of activity. Because it's easy to go on and say, you should, if you'd invested in this 10 years ago, you'd have made X. Yeah. And it's like, well, great, yeah, you would have done.
Can't reverse time.
10 years ago, it's easy to be wise looking backwards. I mean, I could tell you what assassinations were going to happen if I could get back and go, yeah, I wouldn't go to work today, mate. I'm going to get... No, it's one of those things where it's easy to look back and tell you what the winners are. The difficult still is being able to predict them in advance. And the problem is they make it sound so simple, so easy, and you can make all this fortune of money, but there's no representation of the risk that that client are taking to get to that level. Now, if you're online and you see these things, it's very easy to go, oh, amazing, I could put my money in that, it's going to make me really rich overnight. A lot of these things come with no protections, no fallback, so if the company goes bust, tough.
Yeah.
If you lose all your money, tough. If you're putting it, it's not all the cases, you know, there are some cases where there'll be genuine investments, but it's always be wary. If somebody's making something sound too good to be true, or I'm going to get rich overnight, it's probably not where you want to be putting your money.
Yeah.
And for most people, I've been doing this job 20 odd years. I've met probably 5 people that are genuine high risk investors that are happy to accept full on ups and downs. Yet almost everyone I speak to at a pub or something says, oh, I've got so much in crypto. And I'm like, that's fine if it's like a couple of quid here or there. But when people are planning their financial futures around something that's not regulated, that has no sort of compensation scheme protection, most of them don't even understand how it works.
No.
But they'll put loads of money into it just because the bloke down the pub said they're going to get rich doing it.
And they've seen something flashy on social media.
It worries me that they're playing on that instinct, that desire to want to get rich quick, and people will go for it, and it's going to be fine. Some cases they're going to be fine, but it's the lack of accountability, and somebody can just go online and post what they want. It might not be true. It might not have any countenance of what risks they'd have to take to get that return. Any of the downsides. It's just painting this idyllic picture that you put your money in this and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Really, really concerns me. It really concerns the regulators, and I think I'm really glad to see them clamping down on a lot of this activity, because get engagement, get people talking about money is absolutely brilliant. I love that. And it's something that we need to do more as of an industry, is promote this discussion, promote information, because the more educated the client is, the more they're willing to engage with us. The less they know and the more worried they are, the less likely they are to engage. So people often say, why are you educating people? Surely if you tell them everything, then they don't need you anymore. I was like, well, I'm going to tell them everything.
Yeah.
You know, I've spent years of my life studying, and I have to do 40 years of 40 hours a year of like consistent professional development and more on top of that because of my specialisms. Every single year outside of my work, I have to be studying to keep my knowledge up to date. I can't tell somebody everything in an hour or 2 hours, but what I can do is say to them, right, this is a potential problem you might want to be aware of. This is something we can do that will help you plant some seeds so we can have a conversation at a better and more informed level, so that enable them to make better decisions. If they understand how interest works, you can have a proper conversation about the benefits of paying off a mortgage.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what interest is or how it operates, you're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
So just education is key, making sure people understand, and that's I've built my whole career off making sure that my clients are never going to be experts, they're never going to go and do my job. But I don't want anyone doing anything with me that they don't even understand the basic concept of what I'm trying to do and how it's trying to work for them. They get that.
Well, hopefully it's a turning point, because this weekend there was a, if you've seen it, it's Blackout on.
All right, yes. Yeah.
I'm following celebs. So, because I think people have suddenly realised, and there's those memes and things of like, you buy something Beyonce's told you is great, but you won't listen to your mate who's trained in it.
Yeah.
Well, what have we got the problem with this? So maybe it'll change your full circle and change round, but who knows? So. Oh, well, thanks for coming on the podcast, Ian. It's been amazing.
Absolute pleasure. It's been really
everyone's got to listen to this, because everyone has money. So this is like, whether you're a business owner, personally, got parents, I think we've just covered absolutely everyone. So going back to when we said, is everyone your ideal customer? No, but actually everyone needs to listen to this, and then we'll find you the right expert. It's fine.
Absolutely.
So thanks for coming on. Please like and subscribe, and please share this with someone who fits any of those things. So you need to share it with everyone.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me on.
No worries.
Thanks for listening to this episode. We really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please share with a friend who you think needs a bit of help with starting a business, or even their small business which they've already got going. Please like and subscribe to our podcast, which always helps a small business or small podcast like us. And check the show notes. We all have everything in there relating to the episode which you might need, might want to read, and links to anyone we've interviewed and certain subjects we've spoken about. And thanks for listening.